Okay, let's do this. I'm a little early. I really don't care. How's everybody doing tonight? It's a miracle that I'm even coming on to this program maybe a minute and a half early because of some things I ran into at about a quarter till 9. But, I'm really I'm going to get a little pop culture-ish, a little obscure pop culture here for a second. But, doing this program is I'm very much like Ronnie James Dio. Of course, heavy metal singer. He's deceased now, died some years ago from pancreatic cancer, but world renowned during his time. But he was a fantastic singer, operatic voice, and he never did any warm-ups. He would be talking to somebody off stage before the concert started, and stage manager would give him the microphone. When it was time, he'd just walk out on stage. No warm-ups, no praying, no concentration, nothing. He'd be talking to somebody about something. It'd be about time for him to walk out on stage and just walk out and start singing. It's kind of like doing this program because I could be doing a million things and I'm like, oh yeah, it's 9:00. Gotta start this live show. Just the way it is. But I hope everybody is doing well. It is 9:00 and I've had a busy day putting together Friday's episode. And the heck of it is that tomorrow I will start working on next Friday's episode, which I will explain why here in a few minutes. But this is the live show for Unfound for October 7th, 2020. If you are new to the program, the live show or even Unfound in total, on live show, we kind of let our hair down. And although we're still cover some serious topics, it's a little more laid back here, a little more potpourri, a little more smorgasbord, a little more buffet of different topics. Doesn't always have to be about missing persons cases. We may even stray out of the topic of true crime total. Just never know, depending on the kind of questions I get and the mood that I am in. Every one of these live shows, though, I do come to the microphone and the camera with an outline that is over to my left. So I always always come here prepared to talk about a variety of topics, but I'm always ready to answer questions and comments from the live chat if you are in there. And speaking of the live chat, who got in first? Of course, Christine got in first. Of course she did. Hello, Christine. Delane, thank you for the emails, Delane. Paula, Joy, Suzanne, Susan, Heather, Laura, Jasmine. Jasmine, the name catches my eye because I've been getting Jasmine rice at Publix. Angela, hello, Joy. Laura, Concha. There's Christine again. Marcus. Hello, Marcus. Well, thank you for everybody that's joining in tonight on this live show. Hello, Crystal. EB. Hello, Cherie. Cherie has the wrench. Everybody better behave themselves because we know Cherie. She has the wrench. She will take care of you right quick. Delane says Jasmine rice. Yes, Jasmine rice, like Uncle Ben's Jasmine rice. You can throw it in there for 90 seconds. Yes. I also like basmati rice, Basmati. It's an Indian type of rice too. But jasmine and basmati comes a couple of my favorite kinds of rice. Hello, Sharon. Joy says I got a new haircut. Well, Joy, you're making up for me then. As you are watching this video tonight, do not forget to give it a thumbs up, give it the like on whatever type of device you are watching on tonight. I would love to give you instructions on how to do that, but it depends on the device. If it's an Android or an Apple product, phone, laptop, tablet, whatever it may be, I'd give you some pointers, but I can't. So you just have to figure it out. But if you can do that, I appreciate it. And of course, if you are not yet a subscriber to the YouTube channel, you should be. Not only do we do the episodes on the audio episodes every Friday, but between myself doing some map analysis of older Unfound episodes, and then Natasha uploading, for example, older Unfound on the Ground episodes that when they come out and live are only for premium Patreon members. But she also then takes the end of this live show, and when I talk about the disappearance or the episode for this coming Friday, she makes that into a video all its own that comes out tomorrow, every Thursday. So people can look at that and kind of maybe do their pre-class studying before the episode comes out on Friday. So I think it's beneficial to all of you that if you like what you see here on the live show, then you should become a subscriber for the YouTube channel. And so when new videos are posted, you get a notice right like that. As for me, this past Sunday, played a 1-round tournament down at a course called Maximo. I used to live close to that course, but I don't anymore. Played pretty well. Came in 7th out of 34 in my division. Didn't even throw that well, but still scored well. So I don't know how that happened, but really did not throw the disc very well off the tee, but everything else was pretty good, although I did miss one putt that was pretty horrendous, but very, very pleased. And we've played like the first 12 baskets in rain again. If you'll remember, like a week and a half ago over here at Taylor, we played in the rain. And then on Sunday, we played in the rain again. And I had my umbrella. I was prepared and played pretty well. Felt pretty good after, it's kind of nice going to the last basket on 18 and knowing, I've already played well. Even if I kind of mess this basket up, it's still a pretty good score. It's very liberating. So it was good. Had a good time with the guys that I played with too. Good guys. But I also have a 2-day tournament this weekend playing on a ball golf course over here, right here in Largo. Yes, where last week's disappearance occurred. In fact, I'm going to be right down the street from it. We're going to be playing on a ball golf course, and this ball golf course, a couple blocks from where Debra Bowman was last seen, known to have gone, the Largo Medical Center. It's right there. So I will be there on both Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And I don't know I'm teeing off on Saturday, though. So the tee times are coming out tonight. They might already be published now. So that's what I'll be doing this weekend. 1 round on Saturday, 1 round on Sunday. So I'm looking forward to that. Have not played on a ball golf course in a while. They set the temporary baskets up, but I am looking forward to it. I missed this tournament last year. So this will be a new course for me, and I'm looking forward to it. So there's that. And then what else is on the agenda? On Monday, I am driving to Orlando, and I will be seeing my sister and her husband. And I will be staying over there probably till next Thursday. That's why I have to start on next Friday's episode tomorrow. I've already gotten the interviews done, so that's good. But so probably next Wednesday, live show next Wednesday, I'll probably be doing that from Orlando in a remote location. So you can look forward to that. Don't worry, we'll get it done. I can take all this equipment with me. It's no big deal. So that's what's happening for sure next week. I'll be going over to Orlando. I don't know what we're going to do. Probably not going to go to Disney World or anything like that. So I'm not sure. Probably play some miniature golf and some things, but it'll be good to see her. I haven't seen her and her husband. I haven't seen them in a year. So I guess it's about time. So that's what's going on with me over the next week. And then the weekend of the 16th, what is it? The 17th and 18th, I'll be up in Ocala for a tournament. So I got some disc golf stuff going on. Thanks, Joy. Marcus says almost 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. It's true, Marcus, and I'm real excited about that. I just wish we have almost 10,000 subscribers, but the views of some of the videos does not approach that. So I'm a little puzzled by that. I don't know what that is, but we'll just keep working. But yeah, it's great. I could have never expected that the YouTube channel would get to almost 10,000 subscribers. I'm as surprised as anybody. Thank you for noting that, Marcus. Hello, Twinkle. Thank you, Christine. LaFord, what's going on? Twinkle says, we will be rooting for you. Well, you better be rooting for me, Twinkle. You better be rooting. I need all the rooting I can get. Hello, Karen. Twinkle, Joy. Well, Disney World will be crowded anyway. Well, I just don't know, Joy, with all the mask wearing and everything. I just don't know. I would like to go because it's October and they have all the Halloween stuff set up. I've never been there for that. So I don't know. Maybe we will change our minds. I don't know, but it's not on the agenda right at this second. That's all I can say. Maybe because it's Halloween, I just don't know. Truthfully, my sister runs the show when we all get together. So whatever she wants to do, we're all on the same team, but she's the captain. Sheree says 1.1 million views on the new channel overall. It's yeah, Sheree. Nobody's more surprised about it than I. And I appreciate you pointing that out. Yeah, the YouTube channel continues to get better and better. I don't know of a true crime YouTube channel that has as much diversity of content than ours does. Between the regular episodes that are turned into video episodes, of course, Natasha doing that, all of the supplemental videos I do for those episodes, me going back to the beginning and doing map analysis, location and route analysis for a lot of those older episodes. And I'll be talking about that in a bit. But, I think we put out a lot of content on there and I know I enjoy doing it, but, Unfound will always be an audio-based program. I went to the doctor on Monday. Hadn't been to the doctor in almost a year. And I got a clean bill of health. I do need to get my blood tested. That's just a thing that I do once a year anyway, but I've not yet done it this year. So because of COVID and all that stuff, I had to make an appointment. Earliest appointment I could get was October 20th. So 2 weeks from yesterday. It's crazy. This time it's just crazy. But he checked me out. I'm all good. Blood pressure good. I feel fantastic for being 50. And he even acknowledged that I'm pretty good shape for my age. And Twinkle says 50 is the new 30. If only, Twinkle. If only. So, but I kind of knew that anyway. If I thought that there was anything going on with me, I would make a doctor's appointment. I'm not afraid of going to the doctor. I think that I'm very aware if I'm not feeling right. That doesn't necessarily scare me or anything. And I'm kind of vain anyway. That's probably my entertainment background talking there. So I'm very conscious of my body and how everything's working and everything. And I wasn't surprised when I went there and, listening to my heart and all the lungs and everything and just going on. I would like to lose a couple pounds though. So I got to see my doctor. My doctor is the coolest. Dr. Aaron, Ehren, Karine, Carine. He's a guy. And he has long hair, almost as long as mine. Very soft-spoken. Just the chillest, coolest, laid-back doctor I've ever had. And he's the last two doctors I've had here in Florida. The one I got when I moved here and now my current doctor. Two best doctors I've ever had in my life. Really, truthfully. I've been very, very fortunate. And I haven't seen this guy in almost a year, and we're talking, and I'm showing him the program. He didn't know that I was missing persons podcaster. I was showing him, he had his laptop there. I was showing him that. And you never feel like he's trying to rush me out of there. We just sat there and talked for a while, and I was telling him how I get sore after I play disc golf and all of that. So, hello, Angela. It's okay to be late. That's fine. So it was all good. It was good to see him. That was 11 a.m. on Monday. And after that, I stopped in and saw my old landlord from down there in Madeira Beach and sat and talked to her and her boyfriend, Brian, for like an hour. And I hadn't seen her in a long time. So it was good to see her. Once again, my former landlord, the landlord I had when I was down in Madeira Beach. Her name is Terry. So we just sat there on her back porch and just kind of BS'd for like an hour. She was all excited because the Tampa Bay Lightning won the Stanley Cup. And then, of course, what I also want to talk about in this introduction for tonight's live show is very sad to see the passing of Eddie Van Halen. As you all know, probably already, I am a hard rock, heavy metal guy. Although, I love Prince. I can listen to some rap and hip hop and pop music from the 80s and 90s and everything. But at my core, I'm a hard rock, heavy metal guy. And Van Halen was one of those first groups where I was like, that's what rock and roll is. Oh, that's what hard rock is. Oh, I get it now. And it must have been about 1980, 1981, something like that. And, around when the song Unchained came out, and we didn't even have MTV in my house until like I was a junior or senior. We lived out in the country. There was no cable or anything. And although we did eventually get a satellite dish, one of those old school big ones, but, Van Halen had a big influence in me on my musical taste. Now, the funny thing is that, I'm not that big of once David Lee Roth left, kind of lost a bit of interest, which is weird because then, I've only been listening to Van Halen for a few years and then DLR was gone. But on the other hand, the first CD I ever bought on my own was Van Halen's 5150, which was the first album with Sammy Hagar. And it's pretty good. Love Walks In, Dreams, Best of Both Worlds. A lot of decent songs, but just didn't rock as hard as the older stuff. And so I kind of moved on to other groups like Def Leppard and some others. And as big a Iron Maiden fan I am now, they're like my number one band. I didn't even listen to them in the 1980s when they were the most popular. I don't know. I can't figure that out. I don't know. In fact, I went to college with a guy. His name was Mike Martin from Erie, who was a huge, huge Iron Maiden fan. And I just couldn't have been less interested at the time. Now I have an Iron Maiden quilt on my bed. It's just crazy. It's weird how things change over the span of so many years of life. It's just so weird. But Eddie Van Halen had a great influence. His band, Van Halen, a huge influence on my musical taste. I have a mixtape on Spotify of Van Halen, AC/DC, and Def Leppard. All their great songs, must be like 120 songs on there. What I would consider to be their best music, best songs on there, random play that I listen to. So, and it's all, when it's Van Halen, it's all David Lee Roth stuff. But very sad. Cancer. I hope one of these days that we can defeat cancer, like polio, for example, was eventually, we figured out how to cure that or to keep, people from getting it. I'm hoping one of these days that, cancer can be a thing of the past. And in fact, you asked me, what do I listen to? What am I doing? I love listening. One of the most interesting interviews that I've listened to this year was an interview done with a doctor who specializes in cancer. Forget the woman's name now, but very, very interesting, and talking about how, although people's lives have been extended once they get diagnosed with cancer, the treatment for cancer hasn't changed that much. And it's very interesting to me, maybe because cancer runs in my family. But I knew Eddie Van Halen had cancer, had it for a while, and now he's gone. It's a shame, but he left a huge mark on music, just music period, not just rock and roll, but music period. And he's not going to be forgotten anytime soon. Just fantastic. Just a total natural. Somebody, when you saw him with a guitar, you said, yep, that's what he's supposed to be doing with his life. Self-taught, made his own first guitar from parts and everything. Just fantastic story. So, just crazy. EB says, I'm so happy for all your accomplishments. Thanks, EB. I've been putting everything off at the doctor's until this month, so I'm having to rush to get it all done. Got to go to the doctor. Susan says, oh, colonoscopy time. You just had to bring that up, Susan. It's funny. My doctor and I talked about that, and not yet. That's all I'm going to say. Not yet. Twinkle, there's something to look forward to. Yeah. Hello, Angela. Yeah, Cherie, rest in peace. Yes. EB says, I love Van Halen. Prince, Heather says Prince was her favorite. I like Prince. I love Prince a lot. Just, he's another fantastic musician. Just could play any instrument out there. Just crazy. Angel said, yeah, not the same. Van Halen, not the same with Sammy. Totally true. Totally true. Cherie says, loved 5150. I do too, Cherie. It's just not the same as the older stuff. Delane says, I think all fans hated that replacement. Well, it continued to be very popular, Delane. We can't argue with that. It's just, like I said, I need a little more crunch in my rock and stuff. A little more crunch than Van Halen had when Sammy Hagar came in. Although Sammy could sing way better than David Lee Roth. David Lee Roth is probably one of the best frontmen in the history of rock and roll. Just, it's all about it's not necessarily about the musicianship, although Eddie was one of the best. It's about the show. I read that, Delane. He thought that he got his throat cancer from putting his steel guitar picks in his mouth. I don't know, Delane. I don't know. I can't. What is it? 80% genetic? I don't know. Now, there's certainly environmental factors and all of that, but could be. But a lot, the thing is, Delane, I'm sure that there are a lot of guitarists back then doing that, and I'm guessing a lot of them didn't get throat cancer, so I don't know. Hello, Bree. Hey, everyone. I know I haven't been in here. A lot of things going on personally. Well, I hope you're handling them, Bree. I hope you are. Hello, Michelle. And the message got deleted. EB says, I must be old. What's 5150? Twink says, Prince was amazing. Love Little Red Corvette. Who doesn't, Twinkle? Okay. All right, let's move into the program now that we've gotten all the intros and everything got out of the way. No problem. We make mistakes. We do make mistakes here, Cherie. Contrary to popular belief, we do make mistakes. Let's first talk about the Debra Bowman poll from this Friday. This is episode from last Friday, one that is local to me. I've passed Largo Medical Center since the episode came out last Friday. I think I've passed the Largo Medical Center twice since then. That's how close it is to me. And I did a video. I hope you saw the YouTube video that I made for the program as a supplemental. The poll says that most people don't believe Betty's story. I gave 3 choices: that Deborah left with somebody in a car, she walked away, or Betty is telling lies. And the most popular choice was that Betty is lying. I can see that side. We certainly talked about that on the think tank on Sunday evening. But I'll have you know that in doing that think tank, which lasted, as it usually did, for like an hour and a half or something, we did kind of come to some rational possible reasons for the way Betty acted. Seemingly not looking around for Deborah when Deborah wasn't there, never telling Deborah's family. Betty never admitted whether she looked for Deborah or not. Betty not telling them that Deborah was missing for 2 weeks. On its face, in just a snapshot of the disappearance, it does look strange. But we don't know the kind of relationship that Deborah and Betty had. It very well, we have to look at it this way, and this is something that was pointed out. It very well may be that Betty went to pick up Deborah before at Largo Medical Center and Deborah wasn't there. We don't know. So if that would be the situation, though, then it would make sense why Betty's like, oh, here we go again. Oh, she'll come home in a few days. We just don't know. In addition, it very well could be that the reason she didn't call or contact Deborah's family because, once again, maybe Deborah went missing or was out of contact for several days. And that was just usual for Deborah. We just don't know these things. These are things we don't know, but just in a snapshot, some of the actions that Betty took certainly look suspicious, but we don't have the overall picture, and I don't think we ever will have that overall picture because Betty died a couple years after Deborah disappeared. Now, the concerning part is that there were people in Deborah's house who staying there, son, I think it was a son and other people who did have criminal records, extensive criminal records. So that is certainly a concern. But we didn't exactly come to a consensus in the think tank. Still people split on when they thought happened, but certainly Betty lying about some of what happened that night was certainly a choice that some people picked. Me, I will tell you in the blog, not to give it all away, but on patreon.com/Unfound Podcast, if you would like to contribute to the program, once again, patreon.com/Unfound Podcast, where I write a blog about every disappearance that we cover on Unfound. I came to the conclusion that Betty was lying, but she was lying for someone. What seems to make a lot of sense to me was maybe she was not the one who went to pick Deborah up. Maybe somebody else. Maybe she asked or instructed somebody else to pick Deborah up and something happened. And I think there are issues within what we talked about that I talked about with Joe that could point me in that direction. So that was the conclusion that I came to. Of course, if we knew what happened, we could just go solve it right now. But Deborah's is a disappearance that leaves itself up to a lot of different interpretations. It just does. It's not any clear-cut answer. Let's move on to this. I did another Unfound. Now, I have to admit, I was starting to wonder if I was ever going to get to do another one, given that I have to pick out a nationally known disappearance. And there really, haven't been any since the one that I did in August. Well, there are a few, but they kind of got solved one way or the other fairly quickly. So I had to wait. And then this disappearance of Stephanie Hollingsworth from Orlando, Florida, coincidentally, where I'm going to be next Monday, at least for a few days. And I decided to do an Unfound Now on that one. I hope you've watched it. Got a crazy, what I would consider to be crazy, amount of views very quickly. I think that we're up, 700, 800 views on that already. And so you can watch that. Once again, if you are a subscriber to the Unfound Podcast channel on YouTube, then you surely got a notice when I uploaded that last night. Did not do any maps or anything like that. Just me talking like I'm doing here. But she's been missing since September 25th. The problem, though, is I was talking to 801 views, Cherie. Thank you. That's pretty good. I'll take it. The issue, though, in covering any of these kind of newer disappearances, it just shows how quickly the facts change. Even from when I recorded that till today, a couple of the facts have changed. On Monday, when I was reading different articles about the coverage, it said the last place she was known to be was at this ATM machine where she got $20. Well, even since then, now it's been flipped. No, she went to the ATM first, and then she went to Walmart. Now, why does it take 10 or 11 days to get that all straightened out? I don't know. But I think this shows you one of the difficulties of talking about these disappearances. Frankly, I think that after 10, 11 days, it should be fairly clear where she last was. That it's not, I don't know. I think that that's probably the first thing that everybody should figure out fairly quickly once they know and notice that Stephanie is missing. That you can't figure out in 10, 11 days. All you have to do is look at a bank statement or whatever else. It's a little puzzling. So I don't know. I'm not trying to be too critical, but you'd think that would be something that would be figured out. And then there's a video. I know Cherie told me about a video in the Walmart where somebody allegedly yells her name like, "Hey, yeah, Steph, it's over here." Don't know. Once again, these are things that have just come out within the last couple days since I did that video. Still, I think that the video is good for educational purposes, which is the reason we're doing those Unfound Nows anyway. We're not doing it for entertainment. We're not doing it for clicks and views and everything else. We're doing it just to show all of you how we look at disappearances that are in the news and are new to the news, and how myself and the assistants go about looking at them and trying to decide what's real, what's fake, and what can we learn from the details that are out at a particular time. I think that it's, the time span giving a disappearance a couple weeks is about right. But, the issue is that maybe I should have waited longer, given that some of these details are not yet straightened out. Maybe I should have waited a couple, a week or more. But maybe she wouldn't have been missing then. And I hope, of course, she is found alive tonight. But it's just tough. But like I said, we're doing this for educational purposes. I think people like getting a look behind the scenes on what goes through our minds when we read about a new disappearance like all of you do. In contrast to what you hear on the program, disappearances that are over a year old and doing interviews with family members and trying to sort the details out, sometimes decades later. Certainly two different skill sets. And I thought that in doing Unfound Now, that we could start doing that. And I've enjoyed doing them. We've done, I think, 4 now. 4. I was going to do one on Suzanne Morphew, but I think it's just maybe now not the right time. It's been a few months, and I think there seems to be a lot of up in the air in that disappearance as well. But once again, if you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, I hope you've already watched the newest Unfound now regarding Stephanie Hollingsworth. And I'm not, I think I've already said on the video, kind of my idea of what they should be doing. Bree says, has anyone heard of the Angela Green case? I would love for Ed to interview her daughter. That poor girl. I feel so bad for her. Well, Bree, I would usually not do this because the people who first find out about the next episode are usually the people in the think tank, and that's not till Sunday. But Bree, you have immaculate timing. Next Friday, Unfound will be covering the disappearance of Angela Green from Prairie Village, Kansas, who disappeared last summer, 2019. And that's not this Friday. Next Friday, what is that? October 16th. And I interviewed Angela's niece, Michelle, and I didn't interview Angela's daughter. It will be a 2 interviews for that episode. So, Bree, I don't know. Once again, do you have like secret cameras or microphones in my condo here? Did you know that? But next Friday, we are taking on that disappearance, Bree. So there you go. Yeah. So I'm not going to talk about it any more than that. But Bree, if you're going to bring it up, I'll talk about it. Patreon.com. Thank you. Laura says regarding Debra Bowman's disappearance, something about the way she saved her checks and turned them over to the family and didn't try to cash them made me wonder if she was really guilty. So kind of a reverse psychology thing going on there, Laura. Yeah. Renee, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, says we do a part 2 following up on Danielle Sleeper's disappearance. Sincerely, your niece. It's not in the plans. Just got to be honest with you, Renee. It's not in the plans. We don't do follow-up episodes. I can tell you this. If Danielle's disappearance is solved, we will do something. If she is found deceased, then we will do an in memoriam for her. If she is found alive, then we'll also do something. But we don't generally do follow-up episodes like that. If we did, that's probably all we'd be doing, given that we've done over 190 disappearances now. But I continue to be open, to be contact anytime. Renee, if you'd like to contact me personally, we could talk about Danielle's disappearance and the episode that we did on her disappearance. I'd certainly could talk to you personally if that would be good for you. We can do that. But we don't really do follow-up episodes like I think what you're asking about. Yep, we talked to Marcus. Yes, we talked about Eric's car being found a couple weeks ago. No new news, though, Marcus, as far as I know. LaForte says, yes, I am we are covering Angela Green next Friday. Renee, you don't have to, please don't post your email here. Sheree, you can delete that. And Raina. Oh, Renee. Raina. Okay, Raina. Sorry. Raina, why don't you just email me at unfoundpodcast@gmail.com and maybe we can schedule to have a talk. All right? We can schedule to have a talk. If you want to do that, I'll surely do that with you. Yes, we are covering Angela Green. Yeah. Okay. All right, Raina. Very good. Email me Unfound Podcast. That's the official email address for the program. So you can, we'll line something up. Very kind of busy because I'm going to Orlando. It's a little weird situation, but we'll make something happen, Raina. No problem. Haven't heard of that one, Michelle. No, I've not. Newsletter came out last Thursday. Really did not announce it too much. I think by this point, I think everybody should know that if it's the first of the month, you're getting a newsletter if you're on the list. If you did not get the newsletter, that means you're not on the list. And you can also email me at unfoundpodcast@gmail.com. And I can get you on the list. The Unfound newsletter, where we talk about some things going on in the program. I can get up on my soapbox once in a while, etc., etc., etc. That was last Thursday. So the day after the last Unfound Live. Let's take a question from the group at this point. Okay, Raina, thank you. You just email me, we'll make it happen. Misty asked me, very good question. I love when I get a brand new type of true crime question. She asked me through the email, what would I say to a missing person who was found alive? And I'd say I've not been asked that. In fact, let me just read the entire email in here. It is here. Here we go. What type of follow-up episode would you do if one of the victims from the cases you have covered were to be found alive? Similar to in Mormon, or, well, I would, if the person wanted to come on the program, if the missing person was willing to do an interview, I'd love to have them on the program, an official interview. And I think that, once again, it's all about education for us. So I'd like to learn everything about why this person decided to go missing. How did this person successfully stay missing for as long as he or she did? What steps did that person take before he or she went missing to make sure he or she could go missing? And there would be a lot of questions. I'd like to just have the person on the program. Whether they would agree to do that, I don't know. But surely, if any of the disappearances that we've covered and the person ends up popping up alive, and that's spectacular news, first of all. But I would surely want to talk to the person, because it might help us understand what might have happened in all these other disappearances. And you should know, I think, although I would never admit which cases I think they are, but there are certainly at least a couple that Unfound has covered where I think there's a fairly good chance that the person still is alive out there. Not many of the disappearances we've covered, but I would say a few. Certainly not 10%, maybe not even 5%, but there are at least a few. And any of those people did end up being alive, whatever happened. Just want to talk and get to know the nuts and bolts about why it all happened and what we can learn. And I think that's Misty. I don't know if you're watching right now or watching later, but those would be my questions. I don't know how much the person would be willing to admit. It depends on the circumstances and everything. But for me, it would be all about getting inside this person's head and then taking whatever this person is willing to give and trying to apply it to all these other disappearances. It just all depends on. I have to tell you that I don't know how many missing people would be willing to do that. Really reveal intimate details of why the person did what happened, decided to run away or whatever. I don't know if they talked to a reporter about that, but would give it a shot. All we can do is ask the questions. That doesn't mean the people are going to answer. Kristen, thank you for the contribution. What Kristen did there, she hit the super chat button up there. You can see it's a circle with a $sign in the middle. If you'd like to contribute to Unfound while you're watching this live show, that is how you do that. Kristen, you are recognized. No, I'm not amazing. You're amazing, Kristen. Thank you. I appreciate it. So, Misty, that is the answer to your question. I just want to get inside this person's head. See how this all went down. And can this be applied to all the other disappearances that we do? That's what I kind of do anyway. For example, last week with Debra Bowman, called a person to pick her up. Deborah wasn't there when Betty showed up. If we're going to just really believe the generic story, the story that's been out there for 16 years, well, we start looking at Crystal Morrison. We start looking at Shane Fell, other disappearances we've covered. Can we see correlations? I personally didn't see a lot of similarities between Shane's and Crystal's and Deborah's, but gave it a shot. All very different disappearances outside of the fact they all called somebody to. So, but that's what we do. I think that's the scientific method. I'm just trying to use the scientific method here. So once again, thank you, Kristen. Let's move on to this. My schedule, once again, I think I've already stated it, but I'll state it again. Monday morning, I'm going to drive over to Orlando to see my sister Diane and her husband Jim. I'm going to stay at their timeshare. I don't know what we're going to do, but I will be there till next Thursday, which means I will have to get the next Friday's episode done before Monday. I already have the interviews done. I've already told you what the episode will be. And I'll be over there, and I think I'll be over there till next Thursday, which means the live show will come to you from Orlando next week, unless there's some change or something. So I won't probably be as available on social media, etc. I'm not going to go over to Orlando with my sister and just sit in front of a computer, and I won't be able to do what I usually do, my usual schedule here in my condo here in Clearwater Beach, and where I play a hermit. So I just want you to keep that in mind. If you're trying to contact me, email me. I think usually I'm very easy to get. I'll probably get back to you, but don't expect it to be right away. It will just depend on what's going on over there with spending time with them, because I really have no idea what we'll be doing. But so I got a lot of work to do between now and Monday morning, in addition to writing the Patreon blog and a disc golf tournament on Saturday and Sunday. Got a lot to do, and that's why the work has to start tomorrow for next Friday. The preview videos, I don't know how many of you realize this. I've already also talked about this, but all of these live shows, as many of you already know, they end with me talking about the episode for this coming Friday. And what happens is, after the live show is done, I download the entire live show and I send it to Natasha. And then she takes that last section where I talk about the upcoming episode and posts a video on YouTube on the channel with just that as a preview. That was her idea. Great idea. And I want you to all acknowledge that, be aware of that. Because I think by this time, I think all of you know that I don't like people going into these episodes cold. I know many do, but I like to post news articles and pictures, Charlie Project, anything else, to give all of you a little heads up. So when the episode does happen and you start hearing the interview, that it's not totally 100% new. I think you can listen better when you at least have the generalities of the disappearance. I think so. So that's what those preview videos are trying to do. It's along with everything else that I post on Twitter, I post in the Facebook page, on Instagram, the discussion group, etc. It's all in an effort to further educate you, give you a little heads up before the Friday episode. Because once again, when we do the episodes, we start doing those interviews, you know how detailed they can get. And I think it helps if you kind of have a general idea where we're going anyway. So be looking for those videos. This one from tonight's live show will be posted tomorrow, as is once again every Thursday. Natasha does that. Once again, Natasha came up with that idea, and I thought it was a spectacular one. And once again, Kristen, thank you. You are amazing. Satin B, hello, everyone. As always, I'm late. You're allowed to be late. Satin, you can come back and listen to it or watch later. All right, let's move on to this. There was an editorial that got posted regarding Tom Brown, Dub Wagnon, what is it, the Ellis County Statesman, who posted this editorial about Tom Brown's disappearance. As I continue to say regarding all of this, Tom Brown's disappearance is just one of over 190 that we've featured on the program. I am not the expert on his disappearance. I would not say that I'm not an expert on any of the disappearances. The people who are the experts on those disappearances are the people who've been on the program. Those people who have been most affected by those disappearances. And I still stand by the idea that, of course, in Tom Brown's disappearance, his mother, Penny, is the go-to person, despite everything that people have said about her from all sides of the argument since she was on the program over 2 years ago. But I am not the expert. You know, sometimes when I hear things, I'm finding out about them for the first time, like all of you are, because I have 190 other disappearances that I'm responsible for, on top of doing the live show, the episode this Friday, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. I don't know what to think. I hear a lot. I've been to Amarillo. I went to the get-together in 2019, the summer of 2019. I went to Canadian with Penny, with her son. We drove around to the different locations and everything else. And I hear a lot of things about, people being very public. And, what I keep coming back to is the meeting that got unethically recorded in August. We have to remember that meeting was over a year ago. That was August of 2019. And we now know who recorded it. It was Nathan Lewis. He shouldn't have done it. I'm not saying it was, maybe it was illegal. I don't know what the laws are in Texas. But I still stand by having heard the recording, which maybe is something that I'm revealing for the first time, that I still stand by what the AG said. I think that they're the ones who've put the work into this. It doesn't sound to me like any of them had an agenda. They don't know what happened. They only recovered 30% of Tom's body. I don't know how you determine a cause of death of that. They got the skull, unless there was a bullet in the back of his head, then I don't know how you'd go about determining that. Some people believe he committed suicide. That's what the AG, it sounds to me like, was trying to push in there, but even they say, we don't know. But still, there are people saying, yeah, we know exactly, what happened. If that's the case, I think all these people should just go, work for the Attorney General. I'm not saying they don't know what they're talking about. It's just, we've been hearing a lot. Phil Klein, last summer, not this past summer, summer 2019, or maybe even summer 2018, I can't even keep track now, said, everything's going to be shaken up in Hemphill County when this all comes out. Well, things have certainly been shaken up. Certainly been shook up. What's the proper English? Things have certainly been shaking there, but not because of Tom's case. The reason Nathan Lewis is not the sheriff anymore is because he was faking paperwork. That's why. Now, it may have come about because of the AG's going in there and looking over his paperwork and finding funny things going on, but he wasn't let go because of whether he had something to do with Tom's disappearance or not, or whatever. He's not sheriff anymore because he was a horrible sheriff. That's why. Pine Gregory, you now all know that I've talked to him. We are, thank you, Joy, shaken up. Thank you. We know Pine Gregory. The reason he's not a deputy anymore is nothing having to do with Tom Brown's disappearance. It's because they determined he was a horrible cop and he got fired. I don't know if that's true. I just know what they said. All right. That's what I know. And I know he's not in law enforcement anymore. So there have been things that have shook up that county and that town, but it has nothing to do with Tom's case. The mayor, I think, is still the mayor of Canadian since Tom. Maybe they've had another election. I don't know. They have a town council. Was there any shakeups there because of Tom Brown's investigation, his disappearance, his death? Not to my knowledge. There's certainly things going on with the signs, them getting ripped down. The person who got caught, at least doing part of those ripping down, has been charged. I don't know. I even forget now, what sentence he got, if anything. So, a lot of promises have been made all over the board since, I wouldn't say since Tom Brown went missing in November of 2016, but not long after that. And we're still here. It's going to be 4 years in November. And dare I say it, I don't think the case has moved one step further since his remains were found in the beginning of 2019. I know a lot of people are working on it. Easy for me to talk. I'm not working on it. I'm working on everything that we do every week here. But I just don't know. I've already stated last week what I thought about the first part of Tom Brown's body. I wrote about it in the newsletter. It's not what I would have done. That's, not the kind of work we do here. But I hear a lot of promises. I hear a lot of predictions. I think that, and I think what it has done is it's created false expectations. My attitude for, I think, all of my life has been under promise, over deliver. Under promise, over deliver. And because what does that do? It lowers expectations. So when you do accomplish something, you exceed people's expectations. I'm like Scotty from Star Trek. Can't get it done in an hour. He gets it done in a half. I can only get it done in an hour, but then he gets it done in a half hour and everybody thinks he's a genius. So I think that this is it's created a lot of expectations for people who, no matter what your particular attitude is toward what happened to Tom, suicide, murder, somewhere in between, overdose, whatever. The football players did it. The law enforcement did it. Tom was gay. Tom's wearing diapers, everything else. It creates false expectations. And all it does is get people riled up. Nate, all you can do is ask the question, and Cherie will determine whether it's permitted or not. She has the wrench right there. So, I don't know. I think the big difference is that in my position, and this isn't to brag, it's only because we do an episode every week. We've covered 190 disappearances. So I see a lot of this. Now, granted, Tom Brown's disappearance, in the kind of attention that it's gotten, is certainly unique. But the facts of his disappearance, except for the fact that his remains were eventually found 12 miles from his car, other than that, pretty standard. People go looking for him. They don't find him. They find the vehicle. There's certain things in it. Things are missing. Things are found later. That's all very, very common in many disappearances. But that so many people only have experience with Tom Brown's disappearance, they think that those things are unusual. They're unique. Yeah, and they're not. They're not. And they think it's a big deal. It'd be no different than me saying the bridges should be, because I'm not an engineer, the bridges should be made out of Jell-O. Because, why I might say that? Because I'm not an engineer. I have no aspirations to ever build anything. So it just, when I read all the things that happen, it just strikes me that these are people who may be well-meaning, and they may know how to been journalists for years, but as soon as they start writing about disappearances, they show they don't know anything about them. And that's no offense to them. They're not supposed to have that type of experience. Only somebody who dedicates their life to disappearances would know that. So I'm still waiting. I'm waiting like the rest of you. We continue to try to do a few things behind the scenes, Cherie and I. And if we get anything done, you'll know. As I talked about recently, revealing that I talked to Pine Gregory last year. And, if we're not, here's what we're not going to do. We're not going to say we know a bunch of things and then tease it. And, if I know something, I'll tell you if I think that I got the information morally, legally, ethically. If we do that, then you'll know. If we don't, then I won't have anything to say. So, I don't know. Just remember, the Attorney General did its investigation. I'm sure there's critics of it out there, and they came to the conclusion that they just don't know. So when people come forward and say that they do know, are these people then saying that the AG missed them, or the AG is lying, or the AG did a crappy job, or I don't know what to think. It's Texas's Attorney General. I just wish they'd be clearer about that. It's I guess it's no different to me than when you hear a famous person say something and they say something that's controversial, and then the people who really like that famous person say, oh, no, he or she really didn't mean that. He or she really meant this. And I'm like, well, you don't know that person. How do you know what's in that person's head? You don't know. The reason you're defending the person is because you like the person, not because you know anything. In addition, the opposite side. Well, that's exactly what that person meant. He meant to say that. That was so hateful. Well, how do you know that? You don't know that person either. You don't know what's in that person's heart. So just don't know. But people think like that way because they don't want to believe it. They want to hate the person, and other people want to like the person. So it's based on likes and hates and dislikes and everything, and not on actual objective standards. So, so I just don't know. I probably do know a little bit more than most of you, but I don't think any of the information is relevant. If I thought it was relevant, we would figure out a way to bring it to all of you. For the people who think that he committed suicide, how did he do it? Did he hang himself and the rope wasn't found? Did he overdose, and who gave him the drugs? If he shot himself, where's the gun? If he stabbed himself to death, where's the knife? I'm perfectly open to that, but I think those are big questions. If somebody murdered him, then why did they dump him in that particular spot? Where it seems to me that when they could have taken him somewhere else where surely wouldn't be found, as so many people have successfully done in the disappearances that we've covered on Unfound. We have to remember, so few of the disappearances that we've covered remains have been found. Very, very few. Very few. So why then, if it was murder, were these people not successful in disposing of Tom's remains in a place where he wouldn't be found? Likewise, if it was suicide, how did he get 12 miles away when he would have been walking mainly by daylight? They're flying over there in a helicopter and nobody sees him. I don't know. Nobody has those answers. Nobody has them. They have theories, but no, there's no facts regarding any of it. So, and then on top of everything that's been said about Penny and everything else, and I'll even admit that some of what Penny has said has changed since I interviewed her 4 years or 2 years ago, over 2 years ago. There's no denying that. There's no denying that. But once again, that's not unusual. That's not unusual. I can go back, for disappearances that are a lot older, going 17 years ago, 25 years ago, where people said one thing in 1995, because I find the articles at newspapers.com. And then when I actually have the person on the program talking about the facts, things have changed. And we talk about that. So I guess I just take a much more nuanced, is the word. I guess I just take a much more nuanced view regarding all of this. I've never met so many people that were so dang sure of everything, but a case still be unsolved. Let's see here. I see that you're answering some of these, Sheree. I appreciate that. Nate says, it's true the Penny waited 2.5 hours before calling Tom's friends. I don't understand why Penny wouldn't call his friends immediately as Tom was just with them. Why would he? Hey, Nate, we've had people who didn't call anybody for days. So 2.5 hours, we just had a case where a woman didn't let a woman's family know for 2 weeks. And nobody really believes that Betty McVeigh at 60-some years old caused Debra Bowman's disappearance. So 2.5 hours doesn't seem like a big deal to me. I agree for him to go look for his brother, but is it true that he went looking first and didn't reach out to home for Tom's friends? Find it bizarre, Angela. I find it bizarre that Dub has totally changed his viewpoint on the case. Nate, if someone went missing and I knew he was hanging out with friends, I would first call those friends before driving around. Well, maybe it was because it was like 1 a.m. and they didn't want to get him out of bed. I don't know. 2.5 hours is a long time not to call friends. 2.5 hours, Nate, is not unusual. Michelle says, Michelle Gomez, I think everybody knows who she is. Thank you for joining us tonight, Michelle. She says, we are going to the grand jury. Dub did a great job on the latest article. Nate, if that's true, that's what I was asking. If that statement is true, that Penny waited 2.5 hours. They started, I think the important part is they started calling Tom just about the time they thought he should be home and wasn't. That should be the main concern here. Don't know. You're welcome. I don't know what I did, Satin B, but thank you. Sheree says, I keep hearing the grand jury comment, but no one wants to say anything else. We keep hearing it's going to be in January and it's going to be a blockbuster, but I don't know. Sarah, hello, I'm close with the Hollingsworth family. I haven't finished the podcast episode on her, but I want to let you know that Tahoe is champagne color, not silver. Well, Sarah, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you. I apologize for any mistakes I made. I was just going by as I was commenting earlier, these newer disappearances, it's amazing how much information can change within a few days. I agree with you that I read it was silver. Silver champagne is certainly a different color when it comes to cars. I apologize for that. I hope I at least got the brand name and the license plate right. I'm just going by some of the articles that I saw, Sarah. I have, of course, not talked to anybody in Stephanie's family or anything like that. Like I said, we do those Unfound Nows, of course, to raise awareness, but it's also to try to educate the viewers and listeners about disappearances and how to look at the facts and, start just trying to make people better amateur sleuths. It's what we're trying to do. So I apologize on the color, but I figured out that the A-Team / Walmart thing has changed since I did that recording on Monday night either. Sarah, I got to tell you, I don't know why these things are still a mystery 12, 13 days in. I don't know why the media is getting those things wrong. I'm not blaming Stephanie's family, but dang it, these media people got to get these things more correct. Blaze says, the town is so tiny, I would drive around first and call when I got back, not to wake up folks. That's something that comes to mind. So, once again, I think when it comes to Tom Brown's disappearance, it's easy for me to feel detached from it because I'm not responsible for it. I reported on it. I did as much work or more work than most because of the information that I was given, videos, etc. But we covered Tom Brown's disappearance no different than any other disappearance we've ever covered on the program. And because of that, in Unfound's mind, it's no different than any other. And I would be saying these things about any other disappearance out there that's unsolved, just like I'm saying about Tom. It's not anything against anybody in particular there. But I think because I've covered 190 disappearances, I've heard so many stories about this and about that and everything that my opinion on all of it is somewhat different. And I also me as a person, as Ed Dentzel, I start getting nervous when people start making promises and things that I just don't know if they're going to be able to deliver. That's it. All right, let's move on. And I will say one more thing, being that Heather wanted me to talk about this. Yes, fake names are allowed in the discussion group. Okay, Heather, are you okay? Can I just say that now? If two of my assistants are allowed to have fake names on Facebook, then certainly people in the group are allowed to have fake names. There you go, Heather. Let's move on to this. There could be some movement coming on the disappearance of Eric Alvarado. If you remember when I did the interview with his cousin April a year ago now, that there was discussion of two other people who went missing a couple months before Eric did. And their names are Donnie Combs and Cynthia Arnold. They both disappeared in Cass County. And that's where Eric lived at the time. And April believed that it was possible that these two people missing could be connected to Eric's. Well, two people are now in custody. Kevin and Gary Shepard are in custody for the murders of Donnie Combs and Cynthia Arnold. And the reason, of course, unfortunately, Donnie and Cynthia have still not been, their remains have not been found, but for some reason, Kevin and Gary have still been charged with murder. And it turns out that Donnie Combs was to be a witness in a felony theft case against either Kevin or Gary. And the belief is that Kevin and Gary killed Donnie and Cynthia to shut Donnie up. I'm guessing they wanted to kill Donnie. Cynthia was there, so they killed both. Now, the question is, could Eric's disappearance be connected to these two guys? There's no evidence at this point that tells me one way or the other that I've seen. Certainly, if we are to believe that Eric did not park his Jeep over there in Arkansas on that highway with the gas out of it, it could have been a two-man operation. Where that can't be denied, where one guy's driving the Jeep, he just drives it till it runs out of gas. The other guy's in another vehicle. They pull off. Of course, the keys are put on that fence. The dogs are left to run wild. The driver of the Jeep gets in the other car and they take off. Very, very possible. Very possible. But I'm still not sure. I don't know. I think that we're going to have to know a lot more about if Eric knew Kevin and or Gary Shepard, I mean, that's certainly going to be important. Not to mention, if Eric went out that night, how did he happen to run into these two guys somewhere? Were they following him? Were they stalking him? Did he arrange to meet them? Did he get lured somewhere? If anybody has his, phone records, Eric's phone records, do Kevin and Gary ever appear on them? There's multiple things that can be done to figure out if Eric knew these two guys. I've never heard these two names before. And any discussion that I've ever had with April, I don't know if I did have a quick back and forth with her today or yesterday. I'm not sure if she's ever heard of them before. I don't know. But being that there was that idea out there that Donnie Combs and Cynthia Arnold's disappearances could be connected to Eric's, well, now we have something. And we'll see if investigators can connect Eric to these two guys. If the desire is to solve Eric's disappearance, then, I got to hope they do. But there's nothing that I see right at the second that pushes me in that direction. Okay. That pushes me in that direction. But, it's what the interesting part is that Eric's disappearance is surely better known than Donnie's and Cynthia's are. Theirs aren't even on the Charlie Project. I'm not even sure if they're on NamUs, now that I think about it. But Eric's is certainly more well-known. And I don't even know. I remember back at the time when we covered Eric's disappearance, I tried to figure out some of the details. Where were Donnie and Cynthia, where they disappeared? You can't find anything. Maybe that's changed in the last year. I don't know. I haven't looked. But so it's interesting to me that the better known disappearance is still unsolved. The lesser two known disappearances, a couple people have been charged. Sometimes that's the way things work out. But so maybe there'll be some information, some movement on Eric's disappearance. I did post that article about Kevin and Gary Shepard in the discussion group if you'd like to read it. Let's see what's going on here. Yeah. Sure. Sheree says people go weeks without anyone knowing or reporting they're missing. That's certainly true. Sheree, if 2.5 hours is accurate. Joy says people like jumping to conclusions. Well, we all, I guess, want to be Sherlock Holmes, Columbus, and Columbus, Joy. We're so eager to find the answers. And I was watching the new Murder on the Orient Express, the one with Kenneth Branagh and Michelle Pfeiffer and everything with Johnny Depp. Excellent movie. Excellent. Even though I know what's going to happen anyway, it's just, I love the feel and the look and everything. And there's something that Hercule Poirot, that's the detective. There's something that he says early on in that movie. He goes, if solving crime was easy, I wouldn't be famous. And that's the way it is in real life. That if these things were easy, everybody would be doing it. But hardly anybody's doing it. And even people who, commit, a large portion of their life to doing it, sometimes don't have a lot of success. So I think you have to go into all of this stuff with realistic expectations. And that also furthers my idea. Once people start making grandiose claims, I start thinking, this is hard stuff. Once again, the reason that, once again, going back to that saying, if these things were easy, I wouldn't be famous. So Kathy says, I thought Albert Finney was much better. And then I've seen that one too. I like it all, Kathy. Just sign me up. Agatha Christie, Murder on the Orient Express, Death on the Nile, the old one. What was it? The 70s. I love them all. They're just so well done. Thank you for posting that, Cherie. Twinkle says, I've learned a lot about critical thinking from your podcast. So we're trying to do, Twinkle. So we try to do in the think tank. Delane, I've always hopeful that law enforcement never promises to solve any case. They may promise to do their best at solving any case. Yeah. Make no promises. I'll just say we're going to work best at it and stick to that promise. And don't give families any theories. Just you're not there to give theories. Thank you, Cherie. Delane, thanks for the movie review. I haven't seen it, but I wanted to see it. It's good, Delane. I laugh so hard when he says that line. If this was easy, I wouldn't be famous. It's true. Chantel, I appreciate the work and reporting of Tom Brown's case that you've done. Many of us just want to know what happened to that young man. I get it, Chantel. I get it. I get it. There's just been a lot of promises made. Things are going to happen. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. None of it happens. None of it has happened. They're going to indict somebody. Nope. AG office decides, we're pretty sure we're pretty sure that it was a suicide. We can't prove it. That's what we think. Things are going to be shaken up in Hemphill County. Well, the deputy sheriff got fired, and now he's the real sheriff. So I guess there was a little shakeup, but it had nothing to do with Tom Brown's case, nothing to do with the investigation into Tom Brown's case, nothing to do with him, the finding of his remains or anything else. All right, let's move on to this. Austin Pevo, his mother Susan posted on her page, and I forwarded it and shared it in the group, that all three defendants in Austin's murder will be going to trial in 2021. If you will remember, before COVID, it was supposed to happen in June, 2 of them, and then it got moved back. Well, now it's all been moved to 2021, but all 3 now, I guess, have charges against them, and they have trial dates for 2021. Austin's remains have been found, and we did an in memoriam for him. Must have been back in April or May. So I've not talked to his mother recently, but I just know this from what she posted on her private Facebook page. So there you go. Satin B, thank you. Eric Franks, no news. I know Marcus brought this up earlier, but this happened a few weeks ago. No new news regarding Eric Franks's case. Nothing that I've heard. I've not talked to Joanne, his mother, since, I guess, last week. I've not seen anything in the news. I don't know if they've talked to John yet. I'm sure they have. But there's no news there. Next thing I want to talk about is that it was like a year ago now that I interviewed Steve Pankey, and still a unique situation in Unfound's history. Him being a suspect in the murder of Janelle Matthews. I just want to tell all of you there'll be a grand jury happening. If it's not happening right now, it's going to be happening regarding her murder now. It's been decided that it's a murder. If you'll remember that her remains were found in 2019, and that's why we had Steve on the program to profess his innocence. And even though the police, I think he's still considered to be one of the best suspects in her murder, he came on. It was a long episode. I asked him every question I could think of. But there's going to be a grand jury that at some point, I don't know, within the next few months, will be coming with a decision regarding the investigation into her murder, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if Steve is going to get charged or not. And if you haven't listened to that interview yet, maybe you should go back and listen to it for yourself. It was certainly a unique moment in Unfound's history, and I would certainly like to do it again sometime should some accused person want to profess their innocence. We will have that person on the program and interview him or her should they want to. But just let's not forget about Janelle Matthews and this grand jury, because that, even though it was a unique situation, that is still kind of considered to be now in the Unfound catalog. So let's not forget, we talk about Austin Pevo. We can't forget about Kamisha Hollis, who's the father of her children, is in jail at some point, going to trial or whatever. We can't forget about these cases. We can't forget about Janelle Matthews and this grand jury that seemingly, once again, it's happening or it's going to happen. And we'll see what happens there. I'm very anxious to see. Very, very anxious to see if I was talking to a wrongly accused person during that interview or I was talking to a guilty person during that interview. I'll be very interested to see that. Blaze says, wow, you asked some hard questions. I would not go through that if I was guilty. Well, we'll just have to see, Blaze. I did everything I could with the information that I was given. I don't know if it was all the information, but I did as best I could with the information given. Let's move on to this. As you know, recently I've done some videos, map analysis of older episodes. Recently, I think I did Troy Galloway's, just showing where he lived, the lake nearby where he lived at the time, and showed how forested it is and the mountains and everything. Some of the ones that are going to be upcoming are Patty Action, which is coincidentally a Clearwater, Florida disappearance, but going way back to the late 1970s. I'm also going to be doing Dow Phillips's from Helenwood, Tennessee. And I'm also, next one after that will be Mandy Stokes, which was a disappearance in the Oakland, San Francisco area. If you remember that she was living with her brother and then her car was found. That was a disappearance that was on the show Disappeared TV show. And her car was found she had a fight with her brother, and then later her car was found and she is still missing. So, and I had her mother on, man, it seems like yesterday, but that would have been 2018, that we covered that disappearance. So those are some of the upcoming videos that you can look for, where I will be showing you the map of important locations for those disappearances. Let's take another question. Suzanne says, love the maps. I love the maps too, Suzanne. Thank you. Tiffany asked me, getting off the topic of true crime, what is your favorite Halloween/horror movie and favorite Halloween candy? Well, my favorite Halloween candy is my favorite candy all the time, Tiffany, and that would be Reese's Peanut Butter Cups frozen. So I will buy them and I will put them in the freezer and let them really chill out. And then I eat them. So good. It's so good. I also like to get king-size Hershey bars with almonds. But Reese's Peanut Butter Cups frozen are number. And Blaze says, yum. I agree. And even like when I go, I haven't been to a Dairy Queen in a while, but like if I get a Blizzard at Dairy Queen, Blizzard, that's just the way it goes. Peanut Butter Cup Blizzard. There's no question. So it would be Peanut Butter Cups to answer that part of the question, Tiffany. But as far as my favorite Halloween movies, I will tell you this. One of my, it's going to seem so stupid, but one of my favorite horror movies, if you can even call it that, it is certainly scary, but not in the traditional sense. How many of you have seen the movie The Car with James Brolin and Ronnie Cox is in that movie as well? It was filmed out west, and it's this black car that's riding around killing people, and James Brolin and the other deputies have to figure out a way how to destroy it. That movie still creeps me out. It's just something. That the movie The Car, if you've not heard it, it's on Netflix right now. It's on Netflix. Go to Netflix, do a search for The Car. Came out in about 1975, something like that. It's so cheesy, but it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. But that's one of my movies that I have to watch during the Halloween season. I could watch that movie anytime. Another movie that I love to watch this time of year is The Fog, which is a what's his name? John Carpenter movie. And of course, it has one of my favorite actresses from my youth, Adrienne Barbeau, in it. Young, she's very nice. But it also has Jamie Lee Curtis in it. And it has Hal Holbrook in it. And it has an actor who's from the Pittsburgh area, where I'm from. He's also the actor who he was also in Die Hard. No, he was in Lethal Weapon. But The Fog, I love that movie too. It creeps me out. And what would be maybe one more? I love the movie. Maybe this is another, I don't know what it is with cars, but thank you, Heather. The movie Christine, Stephen King, and John Carpenter directed that one too. Christine is a fantastic movie too. It has so many great lines in it and everything. So those are some of my movies. So I go back, really kind of old movies. I'm not into like the Scream movies, anything like that. I'm not into the Friday the 13th movies or Friday the 13th, A Nightmare on Elm Street. I was into those maybe as a teenager, but not now. I'm a little more nostalgic, I guess, for the older stuff. Oh, another movie I like? Here's another one. This is another John Carpenter movie. Oh my gosh. The Thing with Kurt Russell. So good. I mean, it's kind of gross, but so good. It is scary. I can remember watching that as a kid on my grandparents. They had a satellite dish in the 1980s, one of those old big ones. I remember watching that movie on that satellite dish somehow and just creeping me out. And I have that on DVD and it still creeps me out. It's such a great movie. Wilford Brimley's in that, Kurt Russell. A lot of recognizable faces. Richard Masur, I think is his name's in it. So good. Cherie says, we have offered other people accused of involvement in certain disappearances the same opportunities. They have refused to talk. That's true. Not sure what that means about Steve or the others for that. Right. Thank you, Cherie. Yeah, we've tried to. Cherie says, I can watch all the true crime, but none of the scary movies. Okay. I'm not a big horror. You should know I'm not a big horror movie fan. It's just particular types of movies. I believe the movie The Horror was filmed in St. George, Utah. It was Satinby, and I've been to the area where they filmed that movie. I used to go up to fix printers and fax machines in St. George, Utah. They also filmed part of it near Hurricane, Utah, which I've been there as well, Satinby. Absolutely, that's true. Kathy says that horror movies bore her. Satinby, maybe Christine. Love Christine. Great movie. Read the book too. I screamed and broke my husband's glasses, swinging my arms up, watching the old ship appear in the fog. It's such a great. It's so good. It is really good. Satinby says that's where I reside. You live in St. George, Utah. Satinby, is that right? I used to fix printers and fax machines at the First American Title Office in St. George, Utah. True story. So if you ever drive by there the next time, I used to go to that office probably once a month between 2005 and 2009. Driving up from Las Vegas I also went the whole way up to Cedar City. I even went farther than St. George, Satinby. I went the whole way up to Cedar City to go to the First American title office there as well. Bring it back. Memories from the corners of my mind. Delane says, I watched The Thing when we first got cable vision. I doubt my parents realized it, though. Sheree says, that's funny, Kathy. That makes sense, though. Once you've seen the truth, fake horror is nothing. Satin B. Oh, my goodness. Satin B. Really? Oh, my goodness. Yeah. That's totally true. The company that I worked for had the contract to work on all of First American's fax machines and printers. We also delivered toner. Custom-made toner to Cedar City, Hurricane, Utah, St. George, Utah, Mesquite, Nevada, all the offices in Las Vegas, Kingman, Arizona, and then I even went down to LA as well. Yeah. I've been to Cedar City many times. Many times. Kathy says, Sheree, I've never liked horror or science fiction, but love mysteries and crime. I like it all. I like probably the science fiction and mysteries and crime more, but there's just certain horror movies, Kathy. Satin B says, Ed, thanks so very much for sharing this. Oh, yeah. You're welcome, Satin B. I have very fond memories of me just driving in that white cargo van, going up there, switching machines out, everything. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. Southern Utah, for sure. All right. One more big thing, probably the biggest news of the day is that there's huge development in the disappearance of Tyler North. That's a disappearance we covered about a year ago. And if you remember, the main suspects was his ex-wife, Michelle, and her boyfriend, Jeremy. Well, they have been charged with Tyler's murder. Today, that information came out. Today. If you remember, Tyler was at his sister's, and he got a couple texts, and it is believed that he went to this park to meet Michelle, maybe for a sexual rendezvous, and then he was never seen again. And of course, Michelle said, yeah, he never got there. Well, for some reason, they've come up with enough evidence to charge Jeremy, who was a former deputy in the area. This is Kentucky. And Michelle with Tyler's disappearance. If you will remember that Tyler's truck ended up being found, it was burned. I don't know. To my knowledge, no remains have been found. I don't know what evidence there is, why it's happening now. Tyler's disappearance is roughly a couple years old. I don't know some of the finer details, but his ex-wife, Michelle, and her boyfriend, Jeremy, have been charged or in custody for the murder of Tyler North. Any new details that I get will be posted in the group or on the Facebook before next Wednesday's live show. I will talk to you about it. So that is a significant development. And I have to say, I don't think any of us are surprised by that. This is one of those where I think that it was fairly clear cut. I think we just thought, well, how are they ever going to get enough evidence against Michelle and Jeremy? Well, it seems they did. So we'll see how that progresses. So if you didn't know that, that is breaking news today. Oh, snap. Yes, fantastic. Suzanne, so glad they were arrested. Cherie, yep. Cherie, Jill always saying what I'm thinking. Jill, Cherie, I made it after all my clients. Thank you, Jill. Suzanne, praying his remains can be found. Yep. E says, I'll keep you updated, Ed. Well, please do. Somebody needs to keep me updated. I'd appreciate that. But thank you, EB. So maybe we'll be able to, of course it's Edna. I should have known that, EB, that it's you. Of course I should have known it. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know that today. Thank you. So I hope they can find his remains. We know that charging people with murder is just part of the process. And we know how many people have gone to jail without revealing locations of missing people or murdered people. So I would hope none of you quite get your hopes up yet. We don't know how this is going to go. But it's good that they've been charged. That's the first step. So let's, where are we? 10:38. Okay, I think it's time. Let's talk about this Friday's disappearance. It is the disappearance of Bradley Brooks. He disappeared from Corpus Christi, Texas on the night of August 18th, 2019. So a very, very new disappearance, probably the newest one we've covered. And the episode is called At the Water's Edge. The reason it's called that is because Brad was allegedly going fishing and he never came back. And then his car was eventually found right near the edge of the water. What in the body of water is known as Corpus Christi Bay. Now, you should know already, this is a very, very, from the outside, it doesn't seem very complex, but it is. And so I will be doing a video supplemental for this episode because I have to show you where some people lived. I have to show you where the car was found. I have to show you the lay of the land because I think that's very important. I have to show you where he went to McDonald's before he went missing because I think all of it plays an important role in understanding this because this happened in a very small area. Not a lot of choices of where Bradley could have run off if he did. So the other unique or the main unique thing about this episode is going to be I interviewed two different people. And what I did is I interviewed them and then spliced their interviews together. I know we're getting very high tech at Unfound. I interviewed his sister, Misty Chapman, and I also interviewed his girlfriend, Ashley Nelson, and Brad was living with Ashley at the time of the disappearance. So she saw him. They were living together for about 6 weeks, and she was one of the last people to see him. There's no belief out there that she had anything to do with his disappearance. In fact, I'm sure that she did not, and that's why she's appearing on the program. So I interviewed both of them, different aspects of the disappearance. Once again, I interviewed Misty one day, interviewed Ashley another day, and then put the interviews together. I think that's the first time I've ever done that, I think. So once again, Bradley Brooks, Corpus Christi, Texas, August 18th, 2019, interviews with his sister Misty, his girlfriend Ashley, and it's an episode called At the Water's Edge. It'll be very interesting to see what all of you think. We talk about a lot of different people in this disappearance. And I think that it's going to take people in a lot of different directions. So I'll be interested to see what everybody has to say about it. And I will be making the video tomorrow, but I probably will not post it. Maybe I'll post it tomorrow night if I'm feeling frisky. But at the very least, I will post it on Friday. In fact, I'm going to tell you already that this episode is going to come out early on Friday because I'm going to be doing some disc golfing on Friday afternoon to get ready for the tournament on Saturday. So you can expect this episode to be early on Friday. It's already done. So, Cherie says progress is always good. Cherie, your daughter lives in Flower Buff. She's right there. Cherie, right there. Okay. Well, that's all I got for tonight's show, man. The time flies by. So I told you about disc golf last weekend. I told you about disc golf this weekend. Told you about how I went to the doctor. I feel fantastic. Talked about the death of Eddie Van Halen. The Bowman poll, Unfound Now, the newsletter, my schedule next week, seeing my sister in Orlando. Can't wait. The preview videos that Natasha posts, she'll be posting tomorrow regarding Bradley Brooks' episode. Tom Brown talks about that. Eric Alvarado, Austin Pevo, Eric Franks, Janelle Matthews. Upcoming videos that I'm going to be doing for Patty Action, Dal Phillips, Mandy Stokes. Tyler North, his ex-wife and her boyfriend have been charged with his murder. Took some questions from Misty and Tiffany. And finally, talked about Bradley Brooks for this Friday. Puma says, yay, like it early. It kills me waiting until the afternoon. Well, okay. This particular Friday, in fact, Puma, I'm going to tell you this already. I can practically guarantee you that next Friday's episode is going to be early too. I can tell you that right now. All right, I got to go. Everybody, once again, before you leave, do not forget to like this video. Please subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber to this Unfound Podcast channel on YouTube. And you will hear me earlier than usual on Friday. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for giving us a little piece of your Wednesday night wherever you are. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really always enjoy doing the live show. Good night.